Love is possible when you believe that it is. Love is possible when you know that it is. When you feel
Good
like
evening
there's
and
no
welcome
hope
to Here's
for
the Life with
love.
Zemrah and Ed. Ed's back.
Yes, I'm back.
We missed him last
In
week
living
when we
color.
spoke of all the gratitude. We hope that everyone had a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving as we did, and that you took me up on some of the food for thought I gave you last week on being grateful, because we do, with all the turmoil, we still have a lot to be happy and grateful for. Just like we're very, very grateful this evening to have joining us back with the segment Dr. Sunni.
The great Dr. Sunni.
Bringing us some good information. I got some questions for her that you all probably have questions too, and we want you to make comments on my Facebook page. My Facebook page is so jacked up, but we're working on it. I'm so disgusted with it, but we're gonna get that together for sure. But anyway, welcome back, Dr. Sunni.
And thank you
Because
for
this
having me
time
back.
goes by so fast. So what we want to do is kind of drift into our segment from last time, where we were talking about that you really have the ability to heal yourself. And it doesn't have to just be with diet. Everybody thinks that it's got to be food, with and food does play a major part, but also it is in your thought pattern. So, Dr. Sunni, I want you to ask you a couple of things, but you can jump right into that part and kind of pick up from where we left off,
It's,
because I know you always excited, because she's saying, oh yeah, I got some good stuff here.
So it was so, great minds think alike.
That's right. It is.
And
That's what I'm
and
talking
and you
about.
don't necessarily have to be verbal. You talking about thoughts. So when I came in, she said, I kind of want you to test. And I'm like, I already had thought about that. And then she said, now I kind of want you to talk about that. I said, I had thought about that.
Already, it went already.
Right.
So great minds think alike. That's true.
Correct, because there is a vibrational frequency that is released out of my mind, out of all our minds, because we're all in one mind. And when you have an open channel, just like when you're dealing with the airplane coming down, getting ready to land, he's already made communication with those that are going to guide him to the landing platform as his plane is coming in. So that communication is there because we're connected in that one mind.
Final report.
Yes. And so when she said that, Spirit had already gave me some ideas of what we would kind of link to based on what we had talked about before.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's some foundational issues. And so I was leaving the house and Spirit said, because I was like, do I bring my other son's book? And I got like a library that's crazy extensive.
I'm sure.
And Spirit said, you're going to get the major health and wellness book, which is the Holy Scriptures. It has nothing to do with your belief system and what your religious background is. It has everything to do with the foundational principles that was given to us, so that we know that somewhere in us there is an innate ability of your body to get back to its normal blueprint. What has happened, we've taken ourselves off the path through commercialism and all other kinds of aspects to take us into eating foods that might leave more residue of negative energies as opposed to the positive things that your body, the cells, are looking for. We don't take in enough of the fluid that was given to us, the water, but we take in all other kind of beverages.
Right.
We don't sit and meditate long enough to breathe deeply. So I'm going to cover some of the principles in what several classes that I've taken over the years. And this latest one is I'm doing board certified training, that there's 9 foundational principles we need to follow, but I'm just going to talk about 4 of them.
Okay, that's fine.
And those 4 are the ones that once we implement them, your body is like, thank you. Now we could use that as tools to go in and generate the healing.
Yeah.
So it is a self-healing mechanism, but it needs tools.
And this is a cheap health plan too.
Huh?
It's very economical, cheap health plan.
Hello.
It doesn't cost you anything.
Hello.
Now, Dr.
It's
Sunni,
going to cost
one
you something because, see, we were all bought for a price.
Correct.
Okay, when we go there.
hello.
Okay. We're all bought for a price. So you're going to pay a price for something, good or bad.
Yeah,
So if I'm doing all of the negative things, I'm going to pay a price for that.
that's right.
In regards to ill health, negative
Smoking,
thinking,
drinking.
disturbed frequencies in my mind or whatever. But then when I begin to implement those basic principles, there's a price for that. So maybe instead of the tap water, which we say is free till we get the water bill. You see what I'm saying? And or you use something to filter some of the heavy metals that's coming through the old pipes in Chicago and different things.
And you got to pay for that.
You got to pay. You're gonna pay a price for that.
Yes.
But the bottom line prices is that your cells are gonna receive what it's looking for, which is just water, chemical compound H2O.
Wow.
Okay? Because
rebuilding.
Yes. So those are some basics. The number one basic, if you didn't have it within a few minutes after not getting it, you would expire. It's called breathing. Breathing in
Right.
as clean air as you can possibly get. So this is why when we were given dominion, we need to make sure that we continue to allow the earth to supply us with clean air. And it does that through trees. Because trees release oxygen.
Yes.
And the trees receive our carbon dioxide so that they can continue to replenish itself and give us oxygen. Fair exchange is no robbery.
Right.
So when do we get so anti-nature that we've thought so little of
Commercialism
keep
and
us alive?
negative influence. See, we can be influenced subconsciously and sometimes consciously because we're beaming in different information, and depending on where it might be some holes in the pineal with the hypothalamus and this pituitary and the adrenal gland, that axis is off, and then we receive that and we start to act on it because it's a tape recorder. Your subconscious is a tape recorder, and it operates through what they call theta waves, which I'm programming information in through my eyes, through my ears, and through what I taste and what I say. So we have to be very careful to decree
always
a thing.
be careful what you say.
Because we can we're given dominion to decree a thing.
Yes.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't know the power that is.
Man, is the power.
Yes.
So this book is not about, that's the fun part of being in fellowship. Okay. You bust out in a hymn, it's going to be felt immediately because there's an angelic forces coming out through your throat, through your mouth, because you were given that as a gift to help people to feel the vibrations of how wonderful it is to hear harmonic angelic sounds coming out of a human to another human to uplift their spirit. Right. That's your gift, right? And so our voice has a pattern, and it actually, just like a lie detector, it can pick up the negative thinking or the negative recording inside of my amygdala, and as well as in my voice pattern, like a lie detector. So I can say, I'm not.
Now, when you say amygdala, explain that.
Amygdala is a almond-shaped component in the brain. It's not brain tissue, but it is a mechanism that's ignited by the brain from memory in your dendrites. So I teach brain science.
And dendrites.
So the dendrites are those little things that come off of the neuron, your brain cells, that carries electrical energy and ignites us to make our eyes move and our mouth go and all of that.
Wow. But every time that you get more information or new information,
the amygdala records it, and it's like when I was in grammar school, I used to work in the library because they used to put me in there because the teachers didn't know what to do with me because I was a genius and I didn't know it and they didn't either. so they would put me.
I'm glad you practicing that, working on that.
They put me to the side, right? So I would go to the library, and that was like, to me, like that was heaven. Because
you're hungry to learn.
Oh my God. And I love books. We have such a connection. And so as I was learning, that information from the books was just coming in, and I really took to science. So in your amygdala, just like in the library, they had the little file card that you would go in and look through it to figure out what book in the fiction or the nonfiction and
Yeah.
alphabetical order and all of that, right? That's how I got my first job at Speakers, because I knew how to do alphabetical order like that. And I didn't even want a job, and they gave me the job. I'm like, I don't want to work. I want to go back to school. That's a whole nother story. So your amygdala files memory of events that happen to you, good, bad, or indifferent. And so something from the outside, or sometimes even what we feel from the inside, like we were just talking about the movie and how the gentleman at the end was like, even though he found out was his brother, he said, get your revenge. He was going to get the revenge, even though he was still hesitant, like, do I kill this guy or not?
Yeah.
But when he saw his mother and father, before he had any other information, killed in front of him, his
He
eyes and
reflected.
his senses received it, and it was planted in his amygdala that if I ever live, I'm going to get that person that killed that which I loved.
He went out to do that, though.
That was it, huh?
He went for that.
Yeah,
That was
because
his
that
purpose.
was it was
In his
embedded in his
consciousness.
conscious and subconscious.
Yeah.
Where 2 or 3 agree,
So therefore, it never goes away. It's a permanent memory.
it's yes.
Whether you like it or
But
not.
now what you can push it to the back so that if you get a trigger, it won't come up, and especially if it's negative, it won't come up and cause an internal response. His came up because he had been holding that
For so
since the time
long.
he was so long.
Yes.
Right? And so when he got to the point where he can actually do that which he had been thinking about since the time he saw that happen to his parents.
And that's a movie we're talking about.
Yeah,
The Harder They
Fall.
Fall. That
He
was a
could
good
not
movie.
help it because he kept holding on to that. So we do techniques that will relieve the frequency of that. So if the trigger comes up,
It's
I
not
won't
going to affect
respond. I won't react in the way that I was holding on that I would react. This is where forgiveness comes in.
you releasing.
Yes,
Letting
releasing
go.
it and letting it go. And then your amygdala puts the card down, and it doesn't hurt the person or you, because what you do externally, you also do internally.
Internal. Absolutely. Say that again.
What you do externally, you do it also internally.
And people need to understand
Yeah.
that.
And
real.
the largest percentage is what happens internally.
Yes.
Okay.
So
That's
that-
right.
that's
Because
what-
the internal is what damages your organs,
Yes.
and your being.
And it slows down the response for healing, because on every single cell in your body, there's little receptors, they call them celi, and they're kind of like the little waves, and they're looking to communicate one cell to another. You got 100 trillion cells and different types of cells, muscle cells, brain cells, all kinds of cells, but they communicate, they're talking. But then there's some things that happen to us where the communication lines go down. So say, for instance, if my pancreas has some issues and my cells are trying to communicate to the liver, we kind of got a little problem over here. So you can't help me with the gallbladder and the this and that because they work together as tools for the digestive system.
Yes.
And so say if they were saying help, but then I took in some substances that knocked down one of the lines of communication. And so instead of it saying help, which the brain will say, oh, it needs help. Okay, liver. Okay, so-and-so, go over there and help. It's saying HEL, hell. So now the body, well, let's give him hell. Because they're
So
saying
then
hell.
they're going to get sick.
There you go. Hello.
Wow.
More hell. They saying hell.
It gives you what it looks like.
You give them what you're asking for, because the cells communicate. So we do some things to bring up the celi lines of communication. So the cell membrane, it's a brain, member with a brain that assists the in and out transportation of things going in the cells and out of the cells. So when we do the water, the body is receiving it, or sometimes it doesn't, because if we're eating so many foods, especially if we excessively take in sugar and excessively take in trans fatty acids, not fatty acids, but trans fat, like the difference between butter and margarine. Margarine is going to create a cellophane coating around the cell. And if I took some cellophane and put it around your face, what's going to happen to you?
I'm going to smother.
You're going to smother.
Yeah.
So that silicone is around, that little plastic is around the cell and it's smothering. It can't send a signal out. It can't receive anything in, and it can't release toxicity. So it becomes null and void, and then it's in a diseased state.
Now, this is what I wanted to ask you to explain, because I like pineapple. I
Yeah.
love pineapple, matter of fact, but it tends to bother my stomach. And I just kind of discovered that, and because I was making my green smoothie, and I was using fresh pineapple juice, and then I was using strawberries and pineapple, some more pineapple, to make my smoothie with my greens.
Hmm.
What's up with that?
Well,
Why would that?
okay.
Because
So
they say that if you have GERD, or if you have any type of indigestion problems, then you shouldn't do that.
because okay, so I'm going to go back to this wonderful health and wellness book.
Absolutely.
The first day when God, heaven, when it talked about God created heaven and earth, then the next statement that came out of his mouth was, "Let there be light." Okay, the first element on your elemental chart, as I'm a school teacher from way back, is hydrogen. Hydrogen is part of the chemical compound of water,
That's what I was going to say.
H2O.
Oh,
So it's more atoms of hydrogen than it is oxygen. But we know we need oxygen in order to breathe, right?
right.
But you need hydrogen because it is the light element. So we're more light than we are oxygenated.
Now break that down.
So if he said, "Let there be light," he was also releasing into the atmosphere hydrogen, because he had us in mind in the beginning when he started to create those things that was going to sustain us as a human on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So hydrogen is part of the water chemical compound because we need it, but it's also little atomic particles in the air as well,
Like,
because it's released by plants, because the plants have the hydrogen molecule, or I should say atom, which is linked to carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen. And most of your foods, when you break them down, not the processed stuff, but the plant-based things, are chemical bonds binded together, which is hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen, which we are made of. So, in the area of the stomach, if it's out of balance, so you mentioned those disorders, GERDs, because you don't have enough acid buildup, you don't have hydrochloric acid. Your body produces a little bit of it in the gastro nodules in the stomach. So when certain things come in, it releases it and breaks it down so it can be processed and sent to the small intestines. So when we lose that, because maybe we've had an imbalance of things coming in, then that HCl, that hydrochloric acid, isn't there. When you eat some things that they claim is acidic, it's really not. It's real alkaline, but it does have a source of acidicness, because God does not make anything that's not good for you.
I
The
believe
things that
that.
he makes for the creatures are for the creatures, and then the things that he makes for the humans is for the humans. And there's nothing, because every time he did something, he said it was what?
good,
It was
Good.
good.
Mhm.
So on the second day, first day he did the light. Second day he did the water. He separated the waters from the waters, and so you had the oceans, and then you had the heavens, because in the earthly realms up further, you have atmospheric water, and it will come down. We can draw it down. There's different biblical prophets that drew that water down. We can draw it down too if we need to. We can also dry it up if we want to through our decree. That's a whole nother story. But
So, Dr. Sunni,
so
so you have a lot of people that deal with gastro intestinal discomfort. So what when you
so
said they're missing hydro?
so you hydrochloric acid can be received. It's an enzyme. It's an enzyme to break down proteins mostly. And so but then it's also enzymes, natural enzymes to break,
Like papaya.
right. And then you have amylase, because you have you have different enzymes to break down different substances that come in. And when you put it in your mouth, your brain sends a signal, this is coming down. So you have amylase and galactase and different ones that come in based on the food source. But when you have foods that have been processed and other things are added, preservatives and all these other things, that takes away from the natural resources of enzymes coming in. So it takes the balance out of the stomach. So when something like a pineapple, which God created, because on the third day he made plant-based items, and he said this is going to be for all of creation, and then he's going to distinguish which creatures eat what, right? And that showed up.
That's true.
Yeah. And so he talked about that on the sixth day. But every time he created something, he said it was good. So on the sixth day, he brought us in spiritually first. And then Genesis 2:7 said he formed us out of the dust, minerals, and vitamins in the soil, which also feeds the plants, which also feeds us, which also gives us oxygen, which also releases hydrogen.
That's why trace minerals are very good to take.
And I will have some of the bomb in 2 weeks.
Make sure we get it.
Yes.
Dr. Sunni,
It's going to be private label, so it's mine, not some other companies.
Oh,
Dr.
awesome.
Sunni,
We'll push that.
Is there anything to the fact that when you get older, your body chemistry changes?
Well, it changes because
Adjust?
sometimes what happens, things that we probably should have been putting in when we were younger, that's why he said replenish. So we have to continue to replenish. So the older you get doesn't mean the older you get.
I got you.
Because chronologically I could be 100, but biologically my body could be 50.
18.
Oh, she went all the way back. She went all the way. Woo, 18, yeah. But that's the ability of your body's capacity to be chronologically one age, but biologically another, based on what we have to replenish or eliminate. We're in the month of last day,
and that can go either way, because you can be 100. No, you can be 18 and your body can be 60.
That's correct. And so some people are clocking out because the internal clock is now moving faster because they don't have the elements necessary to continue the process of healing, releasing those things that need to come out, and then also moving you into your 120 that you were promised in Genesis 6:3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And even through disobedience, he said, y'all folks ain't been doing right, but guess what? Just because I have grace and mercy on my people I created, I'm still going to give you, because they were living 600, 700, 800, and 900 years. This was
way
reality.
Back, yes.
This is real. This is not no storybook stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
But then because they started being disobedient and rejecting those things that were given to us
that were good
freely, that was good, he said, okay, I'm going to let you hang around. My spirit will hang around with you to 120, even in your disorder.
Now, what would it be like to be able to live 400 or 500 years? What could you get accomplished?
Because you'll
be 400 or 500 years, 600, 700 years.
Well, it depends on what we start taking dominion over again.
The earth.
Yeah. So then you have a seed of an assignment already built in. You'll know exactly what to do, and you'll be able to do it, just like some of the other ones did. Some of the other prophets or whatever, they weren't young. They was having babies at 99, 100 years old. They were still popping it. So I'm sorry.
Now let me ask you this. You talk to so many men that are going through prostate cancer. Why is that? And it seems like, well, really and truly, I've never known so many people of color with cancer and strokes. What is with that?
Fear, number one killer of people is fear, because it takes away love and it takes away faith. You can't have both. So the fear is pumped in us daily. Every time you turn TV on, every time you listen to the news, every time you read some stuff that's not something that you generated or you created, because you're thinking.
And ain't nothing you can do about it. So
you have to take it away.
Fear and faith don't mix.
No.
Can't say I have faith and then still have fear.
So then this number one wellness book says, fear not. Don't be afraid. 1,001 times, 365 times, it talks about fear not. So that means I can make a statement every single day to eliminate that coming into my psychic and penetrating me to action against the love and the faith that's locked in the principles. So drink my water, do whatever, have a good thought, and do a good deed every single
day. Yes.
Every single day.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so with the prostate issue, just anatomically, there, based on what we have done and the things that we're exposed to, and now because there's been an escalation of radiation coming through all kinds of ways, they locked us up for a year and a half. So then what were we doing? Watching TV and computers. All that radiation coming in through the eyes, coming in through our skin, if it's not protected well, because your skin is the largest organ. It's supposed to eliminate or it will receive. Okay?
Wow.
Largest organ. So we're right there beaming that in. So we do some things. In fact, I didn't put it back on. But I have a negative ion bracelet, one that goes around my neck. I have different ones set by my computer, some around the house, different things that you could do to lessen the absorption of these radiations coming in through all these different devices that we're so used to using now, even the phone. And young people, this is a scanner, but it's a phone, but it's a scanner. And so you see people doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So where's that going?
And not only
straight into our brain.
Yeah.
Hello.
And not only that, what about the earbuds?
The earbud Bluetooth.
Yes.
So convenient.
I've always said
convenient.
That wasn't good.
So it's in the ear, and you see the little light blinking. You're getting a charge. You're getting a hit.
And that's why you wind up with headaches.
Brain tumors.
Yes.
Let's go there.
I really believe that.
Okay. So I had a doctor friend, and he said, I'm sending my son to medical school. Even though he's a holistic practitioner, he was a chiropractor. He resigned from that and started doing holistic, started doing metaphysics, quantum physics, all of that. He said, but I'm sending my son to medical school to be a brain surgeon. I said, why would you do that? He said, because in 20 years, I guarantee you're going to see an escalation of brain tumors. And they're going to need surgeons to remove them. So he's going to get him a job.
You already know it, huh?
He's invested in the market.
Invested in it already. He's already,
he already put it in place.
And that was about 20 years ago when he said that. And so what have we seen? An increase in brain tumors, an increase in depression and things, because it throws the frequencies off. And then at the same time, it depletes the absorption of minerals through your vagus nerve, because them phones are right here over here. And your vagus nerves runs from the liver to the brain to give the brain the first call on what comes in. The brain is the command center. And so the general lives up here in the central nervous system. So when the liver gets the calling,
that's your filter.
The liver is not only a filter, the kidneys is the filter. The liver is a decipher of where it's like the assembly line. So you passing me and I stamp it and I pass it to him. And then it goes over there and then they box it. The liver lets things come. It's two lobes, and so it's going to process some stuff. Okay, so where does things need to go? What does the apple need to know? Where the apple know when you chew it up where its stuff's supposed to go? The liver says, okay, the pectin in the apple needs to go over here, and then the malic acid in the apple need to go over here. There's 31 chemical compounds in an apple.
What?
31 chemical compounds in an apple, and the first one is called ferroxytoxin something acidic. It has the potential to block the development of cancer cells in every single cell in your body. That's why the saying is apple or what?
It keeps the doctor away.
Hello.
Earl, do you like apples?
Because the elements, the compounds in an apple has 31 compounds, including your calcium and your magnesium and all those macro minerals. But it also has some other chemical compounds God put in it. He called it good on the third day, that will have your body be protected from toxins that will create cancer, invade the system, just like the Trojan horse. They invaded the camp. Came in.
Is there, because they got 1,000 apples. Is there a particular apple?
No, all apples. And
really?
So there's like 600 or so different varieties of apples, because what? There's so many varieties of people where? All over the planet.
Right.
So God is an abundance God. And he plants stuff everywhere for his people everywhere.
Absolutely.
So you have an excessive amount of apples in Washington. You got some apples growing in so-and-so. You got apple orchards in so-and-so and such and such. So wherever you looked up, he said, grab an apple because I'm going to give you all the elements necessary in an apple. Not to mention all the other fruits and things, but an apple specifically.
And why would they say eat an apple, you will gain the wisdom of the God, or you'll be like?
Because if God made it, do you think he didn't put himself in there?
So this is why the so-called Satan says, if you eat of it, you'll be wise, just like God.
Because now you're taking in the things that's going to open up your conscious and subconscious mind so that your pineal gland up here will receive the transmitted frequencies from your spirit guides.
Okay.
How you think the Holy Spirit communicates? It has come through your mind.
So most communications are nonverbal anyway.
Yeah, like she told me what to talk about.
And she automatically said, I got it.
And she said, I want you to tell. I know. God
I got
told me.
it.
I said, yeah, that's why he told me to bring this right here. Told me to. So she said, okay. I'm like, because we have angelic frequencies and we're communicating. She was thinking it and I received it, whether we verbally said it or not. How many times do y'all do that? As a partner that's been together for years and years.
Say stuff before it's even before say it was. I say stuff completely.
And then you know how young like children do. Mm-hmm. They know they did something wrong. They come in the house. What happened? They head down. So the mom say, "Hey, why you come in at this? You got out of school at 3:15. It's 5:00. Well, see, they had what they had said was I supposed to say." But so the mom already got the answer though.
She already know it.
She already know the answer. Waiting for you to see if you're gonna lie or tell the truth.
Right.
And so if you tell the truth, you're just not gonna get as hard a whooping.
Right. Yeah.
You see, or you're gonna get a lesser punishment, but you're gonna deal with some consequences, right? So then when you tell a lie, see, and then mamas get to rocking there. You get to rocking. Well, that's how creators like.
You just lied.
Yeah, right.
Punishment.
And then when the fathers were present, they said, "Wait till your daddy get home."
Absolutely. You said when the fathers were present.
Yeah, right. When they were present, they said, "Wait till your daddy get home." Then you be like, "Oh, mama, please. You whoop me, mom." Right. You didn't want that. So the Father, the creative Father, the Abba Father, knows what you did already because Mother Nature, the mother aspect of our being, already told the Father because there's an invisible communication happening all the time.
It really is.
And he's going to tell his children exactly what to do.
Yeah.
Exactly what plant to eat from today. It's like I remember one of my mother cat lady. And so we had this cat and she got ill. We didn't know it. And all of a sudden, she would let the cat out. The cat would come back and sit at the door. I'm saying, Mom, how the cat know he had to come to the house and sit at the door and you going to go to the door and open the door? Then we had a dog, a Doberman on top of that. The Doberman would sit there and then when the cat would come back, we called the cat name was Sam. The dog would sit and then be looking at us like, y'all ain't letting him in? Woo, 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 Sam's at the door. Let him in. And then my mother go to the door. There's Sam was sitting at the door. And then when they come and took over the couch. So you get ready to sit down, that's Sam's spot. Like, excuse me? So you had to sit somewhere else to watch TV.
Yeah.
But the communication.
Yeah.
Did the dog and the cat talk dog and cat to each other? No, they communicated. The Creator will communicate to us information, and then we have the ability to choose it or not.
Reject it.
Deuteronomy 30:19 says, you're going to choose death or you're going to choose life. You're going to choose blessings or you're going to choose curse. But I inform you to choose life.
And blessings.
Here's to life.
Yes, ma'am. That's
That's
it.
what I'm talking about.
So now, I want you to step right back a little bit more into the prostate.
So with as an accumulation of things going on with the males, okay, and sometimes males that are how can I put it? Y'all need us.
Okay.
So if he's not taken care of properly, right? Then we're not making sure that he has the right things. If something is out of order with him, you ought to pick it up and you say, babe, like you just said before, babe, we're gonna see about your eyes next month. I'm gonna schedule. You see how you took because mothers take care of precious ones,
Yeah.
right? Including
But you
their
got
mates.
some men don't understand that. That's another
That's
segment
another
though.
when we do the
Yeah.
men thing.
Yeah.
But so the prostate is the size of a chestnut. You seen a little chestnut, okay? But it sits like in the middle. There's only one tube that runs because you got the vas deferens and you got the tube that's running from the testicles and all, and you got the tube that's running from the bladder. But then they meet like the rivers, the 5 rivers in Scripture. They meet, and then it's only one tube that runs the fluid, the urine, the blood for the erection, okay? The urine to take away the toxicity at that one tube. But if also in there's a buildup of toxicity from bad foods, maybe it's shrunk because it's stressed. Because, of course, with stress, all vessels shrink, okay? And so that one little tube is teeny. It's going to shrink up. So now things are trying to pass through, and then the blood's not flowing really well. It's going to harden it like Pharaoh with a hardened heart. It will harden it, and it makes it very difficult for the passing of the different fluids that's going to come out based on the signals. So if it's a signal to urine, but that vessel isn't open enough, then only a little bit of urine is going to come through. The rest of it's going to sit in the bladder as residual urine, and any still water is going to gather bacteria.
Wow.
So the bacteria is sitting there. Then the next time they tries to have a elimination, then some bacteria is going to come with it, and it's going to be a strain. So now the strain is going to shrink it even more. And then that strain, because the prostate is right up under there, it puts pressure on it. And then if its colon is heavy, that pressure is there. It expands the growth of the prostate and squeezes the vessel even more. So then he tries to have an erection, and it's impossible because blood can't come through to flood and engorge the penis itself. So there's no erection. But then every time he attempts it, and he might be able to have it, if there's residual urine there, it's going to come through, and who's going to receive it?
The toxic.
The woman
urine.
His
would.
mate.
Yeah.
Toxic urine.
No, I was talking about when you
She's
have
talking about during
when you have an
sex.
ejaculation, if you can get that through, but that residual urine is there because it's increasing, the prostate is increasing its enlargement, its engorgement and squeezing, and you possibly can get something through. So is the bacteria is going to be received inside the female, and she's going to have an occurrence of yeast infection and different other things that come in. And trust me, I know what I'm talking about because I had that problem. And until I released that relationship, which I was married to, I was having female problems. As soon as that was over, I had no more female problems. I also had to do some work on my uterus because they wanted to remove it along with my tubes and everything else. And a sister,
Because you had become infected from
yes, in different ways. Okay, because it was in negative information, because also we release information with every time we speak something, every time we release something, information is locked in too.
Mm-hmm.
So that caused problems in my uterus because the uterus is programmed to grow things. So it grew a tumor, fibroid, and it grew yeast, and it grew other stuff. And I had to go and get, and so the medical system said,
Take it all out.
take it out. Yeah, you're over 30. You don't want no more kids. How you know?
Right.
Well, you know, how do you know what God got in store for me? And then is there something else we can? Oh no, it's nothing else because I was really having some problems. But then also that mate was having problems, and down the road the problems became cancerous, and he made this transition too soon. But someone led me, a senior from my church, led me to an iridologist, nutritionist, herbalist, and we put me on a program, and eventually it took a year. But I went from bleeding like every day for 2 years to slowing it down, getting my cycle regulated, cleaning up my womb, changing my energy and my attitude because I was depressed all the time. And I saved my womb. And so I'm 72 and I have all my parts. I'm missing some teeth, but I got all my other parts.
Yeah.
That's a blessing.
And see now, if you had have just allowed and
And at one
accepted,
point,
and
I
that's
was
what
about
people
to.
do. They just accept.
I was so frustrated. I was
Frustrated,
about
yeah.
to, and I had signed up 3 times, And something would always keep me from getting to the appointment. And the doctor was mad. So the last time I went, he's like, you keep canceling this appointment. And I told you nothing else you could do. And I was like, he finna be the one. Because then I started going to Christ Universal for classes. And then I was under the direction of Pastor T.L. Barrett Jr. that was teaching us truth principles. And I'm thinking, this is a negative energy. He fixing to open me up with that attitude.
I don't think so.
That energy is going to go inside of me, and then he's going to close me back up with that kind of frequency inside of me. I don't think so. And I started to follow the precepts and the statutes given by someone who was an expert in understanding what to do for my body, and my uterus and everything got cleaned up, and I still have all my parts. And they work if I can work them. We won't have that conversation till the next class.
That's another program.
That's another class. Right. Johnny said, it works if you work it.
That's it.
But one thing it has done for you is to open you up to all of the spirituality and the things in the universe that we cannot see, that we need to work on, and vibrations and the unspoken energies that we pass on between each other when we just passing each other.
Right.
And that you be careful about what you say and what you do, because sound travels at 1,600 miles an hour.
And the
it
basics
doesn't stop at somebody's ears.
What she asked in the beginning, that's so true, because that thought is the most important thing. But what she said in the beginning, the foundational things, you gotta have good, clean water. You gotta relax and take deep breaths and breathe in that hydrogen and nitrogen and oxygen in the air, and give thanks to the plant life that supports us and supplies us that.
And people usually don't even breathe properly.
Right? No. And we were actually trained not to breathe properly back in the day. I don't know if they still do it now, because I haven't had a baby since I was 30. But when they would pop the baby, it created shallow breathing immediately. Because if I came up behind you and you didn't know, and I popped you, you go shorten my breath immediately. So that popping stagnated the breath for the baby, and then the baby learned how to breathe shallow from that point on.
Now that's interesting.
Do they still do
that? Because I think sometimes that I tend to breathe shallow.
I don't know. See, my daughter, not the last one, but next to the last one, we delivered at home, and I remember not doing that. And so, when my sister was a midwife, so she helped. She was the coach in the back, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I had read the book, but anyway, we delivered at home, and we didn't have that problem.
So what got the baby crying or breathing or whatever? Just on its own?
But why does the baby have to cry? No, this is why we traumatize a baby immediately. The baby doesn't have to cry. So one of the ladies that I mentored, and we did the whole water thing with the baby. And so when she was in labor, we put her, bought one of those little plastic pools that you put in the backyard. Mm-hmm. So while she was in labor, we sat in that. And then I did some tapping and breathing until it was like right at the extreme. And then her husband rushed her to the hospital, and they did the water again. And the baby came through because the baby was used to water because it's in water.
Right.
When she released the baby, no crying. The baby's just looking around like, oh, what world is this? Oh, wow.
He didn't have to be hollering and screaming.
And then she put the baby on his chest, and then he felt the heartbeat, and immediately just got the rhythm of the beat, biorhythm of the heart, and the love from the mom and the dad, both present. And the medical team did what they had to do, clean and pull all the other stuff out and all of that. And the baby did not have any of that, which means now his immune system was immediately raised up to almost 100% right at the birth process. And how we distort things immediately through the birth process.
Because I had never even thought about that, because it's like when you that's even looked like a jarring to the baby.
Yes, it was
a jarring, and even could frighten the baby.
It's emotional shock.
Yeah,
because he's been cushioned by the water, and then the mom is, oh baby, and then the dad, everybody, oh look at the girl, you getting big. Ooh, I can't wait for been receiving that energy all the time that is developing, and then all of a sudden you get outside in the external world, and we traumatize. Bam!
Wow!
Traumatized immediately.
And it lasts forever.
Well,
Well,
we could bring it down because I'm a trauma specialist. We can bring it down. So we bring it down by knowing where the acupressure points are and tap them or put pressure on them. And we do some other things. We can scan and see where that is and begin to incorporate the water, do some detoxing and clean out those tubes, particularly for the male, and actually create a way where the prostate will begin to release the pressure and won't be enlarged and gorging that one little tube. So then his erection comes back. So minerals are a big part of that. Clean water, relaxation, and massage. We scared to touch ourselves. We definitely scared for somebody else too. Now they didn't put that in us. Oh no, don't touch me. You might have to. Excuse me? Babies don't thrive and they die if they're not touched. It's in your DNA to be touched. Skin is made to be touched. It's part of the senses. You have the vision, the sight, the smell, the hearing, and the taste and touch. And so babies that would be born, especially with drug moms, because I worked with
Because that's what I was fixing
early
to say
childhood,
too. Help the poor babies. They'd have
and
been
the babies would
slapped
be and the babies would be left unattended to. They would have what they call failure to thrive, and the baby could be 2 years old and look like a 6-month-old baby because it has to be touched. So we learn to touch and learn to touch holistically as a person licensed to touch, or teach you how to touch yourself, or teach the male female relationship how to touch each other in a way that is not only erotic, but it's also healing.
Yeah.
We can heal each other as we learn to heal ourselves. But division causes us not to. So division is not a part of God's plan. It's not. I don't care what nobody say. I'm like Daniel. I'm going to stand on that. Whether you decide to ridicule me or prosecute me or persecute me or whatever you because I know I serve a creator that does not promote division.
Oh, absolutely.
That was almost like the first crime, to divide the people.
Yes. Divide and conquer.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
I agree with
we gotta
that.
drink the water, and we slowly move toxicity out. The cells, we teach the cells how to open back up and receive the water. Okay, because sometimes the cells will hold the water, and then you start having this,
swelling
and
edema.
So we know how to do that.
Lymphedema,
Yep, we know how to do that. Release that. Some basic things to do. And now that we're into quantum physics and understanding that there's some electronic devices that radiate certain frequencies, Einstein said it clear. The medicine of the future will enhance the ability for the body to vibrate at its highest level. Einstein said that. Dr. Benjamin Rush, during the signing of the Declaration of Independence, said, if we do not put into this document the ability for man to decide and have medical freedom, we will see a day when it becomes where you will take all your rights to be taken away, and you will be under the auspices of those who want to control you, and you don't let the Spirit of God control you through your own ability to choose. That was written in the time of the Declaration of Independence. Dr. Benjamin Rush, look it up.
Wow.
Yeah. And being a teacher, you got to read stuff, and I have to teach it.
Yeah.
Because once you know the truth do what? Make you free.
That's right.
And when you're free indeed. When you follow the precepts, Exodus 15:26 says, if you follow my commands, my statutes, and my precepts, I will put none of the diseases that I have placed on the Egyptians. That was a symbolization of idol worshiping and disobedience. You won't have none of those. You'll be able to walk right through them and never have any of their stuff. Because I decreed it. And when God decree a thing, it is done.
It's done.
Because his word does not come back void. And we all have the ability to decree as long as it's under his direction to decree or just say what he said. Repeat what he said. And information becomes revelation.
And believe it.
Yes.
And believe it.
Yeah.
So
water's good for us.
So with water, we know that with the alkaline water, it only lasts 3 days, the
Yeah.
alkaline.
And so
where do we get good water? That's
so
key.
there's different things, and I'll bring a list next time I come.
Okay.
But there's a place with, I mean, there's some devices that you can have in your home. There's some portable devices that will give you clean water, and it doesn't necessarily always have to be alkaline water, because there's also something that we need to know, that everything is a balance. So you want certain alkaline water to come in, but there's other areas in your body has an acidic nature. Your stomach has an acidic nature. So I can't continue to drink alkaline water and take the acid away, because then I have problems with bromelain or the pineapples. So when it's a balance and you get good clean, see, structured water or clean spring water is the water, because automatically in its nature it's going to be alkalinic, because it's, when you see water that would come down a brook or a stream,
Oh yeah.
it was hitting and it was creating frequencies, and then the water molecules, the clusters were made small because they were hitting the rocks, boop, boop, boop. And then it would create an atmospheric energy, and you could breathe. Like you go to the different places where the water is just so pristine enough, and you could breathe, you could feel it, you could breathe it in. It's like a breath of fresh
Because the
air.
molecules are so small, they penetrate the cells.
And so water is what? H2O.
O.
So I'm breathing in the hydrogen, but the light, and then I'm also taking in the oxygen just by breathing it in, like we breathe in the air. And then when I drink it, I'm receiving it internally. And my cells are going, thank you. I'm so grateful.
So is there any?
What I need.
Right.
So Dr. Sunni, is there any bottled water that you suggest? Like they talk about that smart water.
Smart water is fine, but I wouldn't drink that consistently. If you can find a good level spring
What's that
water.
I forget the name though, because I really like that. It's with the blue top. I
hate to call a name a brand, because I don't want to get into a branding trouble.
Yeah, well,
but I'm gonna write it down.
I really like it.
And some waters are just glorified tap water. I'll give you a list.
Okay.
But one of the because
I like Fuji.
Yeah, that's a good water.
I really
now
like
Crystal
that.
Geiger is a good water, and you can get that at the dollar store for $1.
It is.
Yes, it's tested as one of the highest forms of good clean spring water.
Would you say that? You can get it at the dollar store
for $1.
Right.
Let me holler at
just
you.
holler. That's what I'm saying.
$1 at the dollar store.
Yeah, about $1. I remember a time when water was free.
Yeah. But see, commercialism has taken its toll on the American people.
Yeah, and the water.
Yeah, and the water. So God gives everything freely. So, but
That's what
we ride with the punches until we take back dominion again.
Boy, I was like, there's never gonna be a day when you got to buy water.
So I'm gonna give you the names of some things to put into the home where you're gonna get good water coming through, because it's gonna filter out heavy metals. It's gonna also increase the vibration, because everything
we really
we have to increase frequencies. Right now, we have to rise above the low vibrational energy that's out here causing us harm mentally, emotionally, and physically. And then once we rise above it vibrationally, your cells will begin to open up to receive the frequencies first, and then the substances, the water, the breathing, the exercise, the movement, moving your body so that the lymphatics can take things out through the eliminative organs. And then the food that's going to give us the carbohydrates, the protein, the vitamins and the minerals, and the things that the fatty acids that we need. From that level, those are your macro minerals and the macro substances that the cells are looking for to continue the replenishing of a cell. And it'll just keep doing that.
So how many? So of course we already said that it depends on your body weight or whatever as far as the water is concerned.
But then also,
how much water should a person drink a day?
The ideal formula is half the body weight in water. But what if you're not at your ideal body weight? This is why, certain.
That's a point.
Yeah. So when I'm assessing, I'm thinking of other stuff. I just can't say, you drink half of your body weight in water and you 40 pounds overweight. So I need to get you down. GSC.
Hello.
So I need to make sure let's because I've assessed you already. because I've been given that gift, but I also have devices that can assess you. So it's letting me know body composition, letting me know how much lean muscle mass you have, how much body fat you have, and how much water. Because a person could come in and say, and I did this when I used to tour with Nature's Option out of Detroit, and I had the body composition machine. And so the little small lady was in line, the lady heavier lady, get out of line, you ain't fat, you need to get out of there. And I would do her. She had 40% body fat, very little muscle mass, and dehydrated, but
she
small,
was little.
petite. So the fat was hiding where? Around the heart tissues and causing other problems, though she was appearing small, didn't have enough muscle mass. So if she got injured, it's no way that the body could use that muscle mass to help with repair, because that's full of protein, and protein repairs. So
I think that's what a lot of people do not understand. They think because they're small that can be a trigger that
not
they're
necessarily
healthy and all.
So I do an assessment to determine internally what's happening, what's your internal terrain. And so, say for instance, if you're holding more water, I wouldn't tell you to drink half your body weight in water and you're holding water. So then we do some things to help your body to remember to release the excessive water. And now we put in the good water and the cells receive it. You're not dehydrated, because a person be holding water and be dehydrated.
Yes.
So then we fix
Because
that.
that's not the good water.
That's right. And it's sitting on the outside, kind of pushing and putting pressure on the cells and putting pressure on major organs. So we release the water that's excessively around things, get rid of that. And then once we get the body into balance from that perspective, then you drink half your body weight in water. So that's just not a principle that applies all the time for everybody.
See, now a lot of people, we running close to time, but see, a lot of people don't understand either that no, you're not lost.
You lost your happiness. You just lost your thought.
Yeah,
I saw when it left.
I don't think that they I don't think that they understand that that if you, I don't know what I was going to say. I don't think that a lot of people understand they can be heavy or whatever.
And malnutrition.
No. They don't understand, and a lot of doctors don't understand about lymphedema.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what a lot of people are heavy, and lymphedema is not weight. It's water. It's fluid.
But it's fluid that's locked around fatty tissue.
And what causes that?
It depends on, so when we do the assessment, we can see, well, where was the brain getting the wrong signal to keep this water going to those areas and hosting it. So that's why I do a scan. So I have 2 different devices to scan and give me a vital report, just like if you would go get see whatever they call them things at the hospital. I can get a vital report, and it's going to let me know, okay, this is out of balance, this is balanced, this is out of balance. Now let's fix this. So we do a brain scan, and then the body says, fix this. Let's work on this. So it's like an educational tool. Then we work on that, and you start releasing all of that, and then turn the signal off for it to not continue that process, because we can turn off signals that happen. We don't even know how or why at the point. We don't have a conscious awareness of it, but subconsciously it does, and it'll identify that for me. So when we do those assessments, now we can turn that off. Like Caroline Leaf says, who switched off my brain? Because if it's switched off, it's not picking up everything. Because even with the breathing, you're scanning up and you're scanning down. So when you're scanning down, the brain is going, what's going on down below? Body's saying, I'm over here. This is not working. Then it brings up and the body says, okay, let me start putting things in place to assist you. So it's going to either give us a thought to do some things, or send you to where that thought is, and then also have you have control over doing the things that it's saying to do. Drink the water, get rest, eat well, exercise, love and love and love some more.
Wow, that was a good ending.
And the healing will take place.
Wow, Dr. Sunni, that was awesome. Because we gotta shut out now. It's time for another show to come in. But wow, you brought some stuff today, and Doctor, and more than food for thought. And Dr. Sunni, you'll be back the
third week in
December. Yes,
because we missed.
And
this
we
one
will
because
continue.
We did
because this is just, oh my God, this is just phenomenal. We thank you so much,
And
so
I
much,
thank you
so
so much
much.
for this outlet.
Yes,
We have to have various outlets to get the word out.
That's what I. That's
You
what
know,
I tell.
the back in the day, when the whole transferring from British to over here, they had the town criers sending out the word, the British are coming, the British are coming. Well, we need to send, God is coming, God is coming, get ready, get prepared,
Yes,
get yourself together. He give you that right to work on you, and the innate ability in you will respond, and healing will take place.
yes.
First step, love.
That's it. You can't beat it, and you can't beat God given. You can't beat love, and love is possible. Make sure you check me out on my Pandora, Amazon, all streamings, and pick up that CD. Love is possible. Like Dr. Sunni said, you can't beat it. We are so glad to have you. Oh, you were just so awesome, so
Thank you.
informative, like I promised. And we want you to have a good rest of your week. And we'll see you next Tuesday.
And we're going to keep on bringing it to you.
Ed wants to say quickly.
Okay. Oh, thanks, Earl and Wanda, for giving me the opportunity to be myself again.
Have a good night.
Love is possible when you believe that it is. Love is possible